Welcome to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and the founder of the Write Your Own Story company. Girl, I can tell you right now, you are definitely enough. Here we value service, sisterhood, connection, laughter, and that super genuine, keep it real, tell you like it is honesty. My hope is at the end of each episode, you realize you can do whatever it is you dream about and that you are not alone with what you struggle with. I'm hoping that you are snapping and clapping and hell yes in your way through each one of these episodes. So if this tracks with you, let's get started. I'm so glad you're here. All right, everybody, welcome back to the latest episode of the Write Your Own Story podcast. I am here with a dear friend of mine, Bridget Davis. I will get into all about how I know her, why I love her. But Bridget, I just want to say before we start, thank you so much for being here.
Love it.
Oh my God, this is going to be so much fun. So Bridget is a boudoir photographer, and I love the perspective of photographers. It's always a behind the scenes perspective that I think is so important for anyone in front of the camera to see, because I know often how we feel is very different than what you see behind the camera.
Yes.
So I wanted to title this episode, The World Through the Eyes of a Boudoir Photographer.
Yeah.
What I love about Bridget's work, one, it's gorgeous. You're so freaking talented. But two, is that the way that you show up online, you are so adamant and so sort of deeply dedicated to women changing the narrative for how they speak to themselves. Because I can imagine when you are there and not much, all of the insecurities come pouring out.
Right.
So the promise for this episode is to really encourage women, if not mandate, that women change the narrative for both how we see ourselves and especially for how we talk to ourselves.
Right. The internal dialogue is so heavy sometimes. Really, I have the opportunity in my inbox like every week about, I'll have one woman say like, I would love to do this, but like, I'm not curvy like these other girls.
Yeah.
And then the next girl is like, I would love to do this, but I'm shaped like a boy. Or, she's like, I'm too big. And so it's like, actually, you're both wrong. Let me show you. And so showing them, really having an opportunity to show people what I see and let them see it for themselves is just, it's been really, really cool.
It is such a gift to be able to empower women. I feel that way. I'm just banging stuff around over here. I'm trying to find my phone so I can read your bio, but it is such a gift to be able to empower women. And I love, we do it in really different ways, but both are so important.
Yeah.
And we're a dynamic duo,
Yeah,
you and me. Okay, you guys, let me get into Bridget's bio. First, here's how I know Bridget. Bridget took family photos for me and my family for a zillion years. Hayden is almost 13.
And he was a newborn.
He was a fresh as a daisy baby.
Yeah, like maybe 3 days.
3 days. And
that's my prime.
like, that's how I got to know you. Everyone that I worked with was having you take their family photos, and they are just unreal. They really are. Like, it was always so unique, and there was so much warmth and love that came from the photo. I was just like, truly, there's no one else like you. And then as I've just sitting here, as we all ebb and flow, you and I have stayed, you still take my family's pictures.
Right. So that's one thing I love about newborn photography is I get to grow with the family. So I watch, the newborn, and so it's like a couple and like, oh my gosh, look what we made. And then they're a couple with like 3 kids. And then the first newborn is like big brother. And so watching the evolution of a family is really, really cool for me.
And like you are so connected to my kids. They absolutely love you.
That's
and
my jam.
Totally. And it absolutely translates. Every time we're together, if I see them light up and the way that I get to see them light up at home, which I feel like
that's magic, right? So that's the part where it's like, I really want to create a connection, a relationship. Kids love me because I'm down on their level. I'm completely irreverent and just, I'm a kid. So
samesies.
So they're like, when can we have a play date with Miss Bridget again? And that's the goal. I want to really just pull out what their actual personality is.
Yep. And you do. And like the things that you were able to articulate about my kids, and so much changes in a kid year over year. Yeah. And like, you can see all the nuances and all the difference, even with all the kids that you shoot. And I just, literally, it is truly like,
I want to take a picture while they're missing their teeth. I want to capture all these little things that change really quickly.
I never want their teeth to grow back in. I want toothless people for the rest of my life.
That's better.
It's so amazing. But it has been awesome over the last almost 13 years to watch your career evolve. I've also seen you get super into DIY and like you just, we're all finding new muscles and flexing new muscles and doing different things. And now I see you so in the boudoir space and like you just feel like you are right where you're meant to be. So let me go through before we jump into more details. Let me read your bio because I'm literally obsessed with it. I wish it was my bio. We're just going to copy and paste it for mine.
Perfect.
Okay. Bridget Davis. First of all, I wish maybe I'll post this picture if you let me. Yeah, girl, it is hot. And it says, woman on a mission. I'm determined to change the narrative. First of all, I could just stop right there and just like do a standing ovation. We're all our own worst critic in the mirror. I feel like I have a special kind of dysmorphia. I only see lines, shapes, and beauty. I have a gift of translating that into images where women are able to see themselves through loving eyes, many of them for the first time ever. God, that gets me emotional. I never get tired of helping women fall in love with themselves.
Right.
God.
So I get chills too.
Yes.
It's the magic of boudoir. And I swear it's like, it's not me, but I get to take part and I get to witness it over and over and over. And I have chills. Like every time a woman just comes, really lets her guard down, we spend half a day together and I watch her transform. I've had women ask me like, have you ever worked with someone with, a sexual assault past, or have you ever worked with someone who, and I've had women tell me like, I've never had a positive relationship with my body.
God,
40 years. Like, why are we wasting like that? You know,
those are precious years where we should love every single bit of ourselves.
So it's been really, really fulfilling to be able to continue to pour into other women. I love to meet someone. I think that we all have things to learn from each other. So it's like this win-win. I get to meet new humans. They tell me their story. I get to learn from them. They learn from me. And I'm just really kind of addicted.
Totally. God, that's how I feel about this podcast too. It is such a beautiful, like we connect in such a different way. And I don't know, it's inspiring and all the things, which is why I'm like, Bridget, I know you're nervous, but put on your headphones because women need to hear what you have to say. Thanks. Yeah, it's super important. Okay. So before we dive right on into all the boudoir, how did you end up in boudoir? Like, and even honestly, like you're one of the people when I talk about write your own story, build a life around the life that you want. You have 3 kids. Like, tell me how you built this business and then sort of like the mini little evolution into how you got into boudoir. And then we're just going to get right into the juicy stuff because I think that's important for people to hear as well.
Yeah. Let's see. I was married at 19.
I forgot that
for
part.
our honeymoon.
Yeah.
Found out I was pregnant on her first birthday. So I was never an adult without someone attached to my ankles.
Literally. Oh my gosh. Tiny people everywhere.
Yeah. I was actually a massage therapist and that was kind of like a nights and weekends thing.
Yeah.
But then when the girls went to school, I was kind of sitting there like, this is a lot of hours and I don't know what to do with myself, literally.
This is true.
So I needed some sort of creative outlet. So I started taking pictures and then it was like, their friends wanted me to take pictures of them because of social media. And then it was like, oh, I need to pay taxes. So I started doing, an actual business, which is not really, I feel like I'm not so made for that. I'm very much the artist, not the
taxpayer. I hear you.
I have to do it.
Yeah.
But the numbers thing is all,
right.
To my chagrin. So I think I started doing newborns and families. I would pretty much take anything with humans except for weddings.
Yeah.
Not my thing.
Yeah. You've always said that. Not your thing.
Not my thing. And I did have, and I've over the years narrowed down like more particular on what I will work with.
Yeah.
But weddings were just way too stressful for me. And I have phenomenal friends that I will refer you to.
Yeah.
But weddings aren't my thing.
I love that. That's a boundary. It's your jam. This is your creative outlet. Yes. You don't have to do everything.
Boundaries were not my thing in the beginning.
I hear you.
That one was just like I literally can't do it. So I have been doing boudoir actually for the full time. So what has it been, like 15 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a little bit more covert back in the day. We'd have to like rent a hotel room by the hour. So
no
sketchy.
way.
Or shoot in people's bedrooms. Like, it was pioneering, but
right. Definitely pioneering.
Now, I'd say within the last 7 years, I made a group on Facebook where women can actually share their experience, share their struggles, share their images, share the story behind the images.
Yeah.
And I've got probably 3,000 local women that are just really, really there for each other. Super positive. I've never had to like moderate a comment or ask someone to leave. There's no drama.
Oh, I just got goosebumps again.
Yeah.
God,
so I think
world
Facebook
all be like
can
this.
be like the most toxic place, especially, during an election year or something like that. But
Right.
my Facebook group is one of my favorite places on the internet for sure.
Yeah.
And once other women have seen, like, oh, she's a teacher like me, or she has long hair like me, or she has rolls on her side like me, like, if she can do it, maybe I can allow myself to do it. And that's really where it's taken off. So I probably do 85% boudoir now.
Yeah.
I'll never give up my newborns and families. I just am like, so relationship driven that I couldn't.
Yeah.
I really, really love that. But, and then it can intermingle. It's like, I can do a boudoir for you when you're a bride, and then I can do a boudoir for you when you're battling breast cancer later, or, post-divorce or whatever. I really, really love to make a relationship and then grow with you.
Just like the family stuff. Yeah. Because I mean, gosh, I think that's one of the things for our generation is like, so many of us, and maybe I know I'm not speaking for myself because I've had this conversation with so many women. It's like, we were raised to be like, this is what you claim to do. I don't even know if it's how we're raised. Maybe it's society, but like, this is what you said you were going to do. Now you have to do it for the whole rest of your life.
Right.
But as a human and as a soul, you ebb and flow and grow and change in so many different ways. And life happens.
Yeah.
So like, how are you supposed to just be the same? And I love the fact that like you get to follow people through all the versions of themselves that they probably never even saw coming.
Right.
But are absolutely worth celebrating.
Right. And that's what's so valuable to me, is that I have this endless supply of women with all different stories that I get to learn from. And it's helped me write my own story.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. So let's talk about when a couple of like anecdotes that you and I, because we're buddies and like we chat all the time. And like one of my favorite stories that we were sitting here just prepping for, and you were saying, tell me about your inbox every week and the kind of stuff that people come at you with, because really like boudoir is all about being sexy and owning your sexy, but also it is so much about confidence. And so it's one thing, I think it really is a multifaceted thing that I want to address with women today. Like, yeah, sure. We all like, I mean, especially as we've all had babies or life has happened. I'm starting to wrinkle, like all these things where you're like, that didn't roll like it used to. Why are my jeans fitting this way? That's rude.
Yeah.
Rude. Gravity, rude, all of it. But like, we should still be confident in our bodies.
Right.
And being sexy is absolutely a part of that. So I just wanted to explain that and pause for a second. Is like, I do think it's kind of twofold, and really like confidence is the most important thing to me. And I think that shows up in many different ways. So I want to make sure we continue to hit on that. But like, tell me about your inbox and tell me the messages that these women are sending you.
Yeah. So I have, for me, as I've, come into my 30s and lived through my 30s, I have found that like, time is precious.
Yes.
My favorite thing, like, I'm not big on small talk. I want to just get to like straight authenticity.
Yeah.
Right. Again, boundaries aren't really my thing, but I don't have like a professional Bridget and then like,
no, you're just Bridget.
Yeah.
Same.
So I don't have a
that.
professional page. I'm just like blurred lines, all of it. Like,
yeah,
I want you to really know me.
Yeah.
And you're going to know, what you get. So you're going to know whether you jam with me or not. Right.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
People are naked in front of you. They should be able to jam with you.
Exactly. There's a bajillion photographers. And if I'm not for you, like, I'm not offended.
Yeah.
I want to be with the people that I am for.
Yeah. I love that.
So there's that. And what it has bred is that so many people come to me and it's just like deep, intimate things really quickly, very open things that sometimes they haven't talked about with anybody.
Yeah.
So I have women in my inbox, literally every day a woman will say like, I would love to do this. Your images are so beautiful. It looks like so much fun, but I'm shaped like a boy. I don't have sexy curves like this other girl. And then the next girl is like, I would love to do this, but I'm way too big and I just need to lose X amount of pounds. So maybe one day. And I'm like, actually, you're both wrong. And let me show you.
Yeah.
It's all about how we see ourselves. And sometimes, like I can't take a flattering picture in the bathroom mirror. Like, it's awful. That's what you're used to seeing. Like, that's what you think your image is.
Yeah.
It's poor lighting. It's a weird angle. Like, it's not a thing, but that's what you're pretty much inundated with. So that's what your self view is.
Yeah. Let alone the voice.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. So I'll have women in my inbox say like, my mom said this thing to me when I was 8 years old and it plays in my head every single day.
God.
And so that's so super important. I was very lucky that my boudoir really took off when my own girls were young teenagers. And it so emphasized in my brain, like continued over and over and over. I heard these women say, my mom said this thing about me and I've never been able to get over it. My mom said this thing about me and it plays over and over in my head. And it's not even like maybe what your mom said to you about you. Maybe it's what your mom said about herself in front of you.
Sure.
And that's equally as important. So
or another woman.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, right? Yeah. So who you're around teaches you how to treat the people around you.
Yeah.
So another thing for me is like, I tell every woman that joins my group, like my first thing is like, if you think something nice about someone, say it to them. Oh. Please do that. Like, it's the most free thing. It's amazing. If I leave my house, I want to like make 5 people's day. And it's simple. Like,
it's so simple.
Like when I pass someone, like, oh my gosh, you have the best cheekbones. I love that. Like, and then it's a 60-year-old woman that's like, no one has complimented my cheeks in 20 years, you know? And it's like, we need that. Like, all of us need these things, you know? It doesn't have to be physical. Right. Yeah. It doesn't have to be physical, but like just someone to see us. Yeah. Someone to appreciate us. And some little voice to really kind of combat all these negative voices, right? From society, from our family, from mostly probably ourselves.
Yeah. And it's like, it's impossible to uncover where they start. Because to your point, it's probably really multifaceted. Like we're all inundated with input all the time. And like the way that our brain even interprets things, like, you know, that is kind of out of our own control sometimes. Like all of us constantly have to make the effort to rewrite the negative thoughts because they're just thoughts. They're not reality.
Right.
And I think that like the way that women come to you and, you know, it gives me goosebumps and I'm like, oh, I can't believe they say that. But we all say those things about ourselves.
Right. So I'm like, I'll have a perfect, like Instagrammable bodied 23-year-old say like, I love your work, but I could never do that because of XYZ. And you're like, you sound ridiculous.
The time you're perfect, is now,
right?
Girl.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But then I'm like, do I say those things to myself? You know, so it's a lot of checking myself, preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, so grateful that this was just so ingrained in me as I was raising my daughters.
God.
My girls are phenomenally confident.
Yes.
And I don't take a lot of credit for that. They are very, very strong. I see their friends are the same way.
Awesome.
I think when I was young, you know, if say I was walking down the street and some random someone said like, oh, you have a weird, your legs are too tiny. You know, like
remember, because you were like a beanpole growing up and used to get picked up on that.
I was shaped like spaghetti and I had spaghetti legs as well.
Yeah.
Chicken legs is the part that I have to fight back in my head. But anyway, I used to never even wear shorts. Like I was slim. And
isn't that wild? And in this society, be too afraid that you're too skinny?
I'm too thin, you know, but absolutely. That's another thing. It's like, I've been on both. I've been clinically underweight. I've been clinically overweight, and you face discrimination on both.
Yeah.
When you're really thin, you know, there's people that will walk up to you and say like, you're so skinny, it makes me sick. And I'm like,
oh God,
wow. You're like, wouldn't say that to a fat person.
No,
like, you wouldn't.
And it's also like Tuesday afternoon. What's your problem?
Right. Like, why do people project that onto other people?
Yeah.
So that's another thing of like really trying to check, but you have to reroute me.
I don't even remember. No, this is exactly how this podcast is supposed to go. We're supposed to get lost in maybe, yes, I'll reroute us. But like, I think one of the things that I'm taking away from our swirly worlds, because also we're both like queen of ADHD, creative souls.
I have alleged ADHD.
Oh, I'm here to confirm. I love you.
I think I have people on the street like, so you know you're ADHD, right? And I'm like, but it's fun here. I'm not medicating yet.
Right.
It's just like,
hey, you show up however you want. I think you're perfect just the way you are.
Fun.
Yeah. So I think some of my favorite things that we've talked about thus far are that it is such a common practice for women. This is not a favorite because it's a common practice, but a favorite point to hit. It's a common practice for women to find flaws in themselves, to carry through lines from our past, whether it be from someone who said something to us, from influences that we've seen on TV or on social, or from how we've seen people talk to other people. And that what this does is this gives you an opportunity to show people what you see in them. And to like really show them like, that's what I love about hearing your stories of like, my other favorite part about because I'm in your Facebook community too, is like the reactions to the reveals are like my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Because people will go in and say, I'm shaped like a boy and I can't do this, or I'm 30 pounds overweight, or whatever it may be. And they go through, it's like, honestly, I have this with people on the podcast all the time. Everyone leaves here. They feel great while we're doing it. They leave here and they freak out.
Yeah, they start over analyzing.
Yes, they're like, what did I say? Because we're just in flow. We're just chatting. And then I'm like, trust me, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
And to see the reveal for you, to see these women see their bodies in the most beautiful way, because
have a
truly,
positive relationship with their body.
Your photographs are the exact depiction of how you see these women.
Right. It truly is. And I honestly, like, I will, if you have like a scab or something that's temporary, I can smooth, right?
Sure.
But I do not manipulate bodies. I do not Photoshop. I honestly don't even own Photoshop.
That a girl.
I'm a 15-year veteran photographer. I don't own Photoshop.
I love it.
Will not edit a body, but it is a lot about your point of view.
Yeah.
And angles, and I'll help you choose like the most flattering pieces. You know, that's something cool to, you know, be a 40-year-old woman and have someone say like, oh, here's how you can really, everybody is so unique.
Yeah.
And here's how you can really flatter your shape. Here's what's going to look especially great and help you feel good. What parts of yourself do you love, or are you learning to love? And let me help you highlight that.
Yes.
So that's more where your focus is.
I love that. In a podcast that I just recorded last week that was all about like sort of integrative health, it was, I feel like I go through life, I got some fear stuff I got to work on, blah, blah, blah. But like, blah, 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 working on it. But like, I honestly am always scanning for danger and what doesn't feel good. And that's exhausting, where I want to flip the script, and I'm working on it and getting there, where it's like, I'm actually looking for things that feel great, and I'm going to do more of that. Yeah. So it's like that to you, it translates. So for health, that was like, okay, what exercise feels great? What friends around me feels great? What bedtime routine feels great? It's not of like, what is optimal and what made me feel bad. Right. It's looking for the positive. So when you're in Boudoir and you're like, what outfit makes you feel great? What hairstyle makes you feel great? What lip color makes you feel great? Yeah. Yes. Do those things.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? And highlight to these women what looks great. Are your boobs amazing? Yeah, girl. Let's show them.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to have my toddies.
You always have your toddies out.
Here's why. Because I spent like my first 37 years, I was shaped like this well.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I didn't have sweat underneath them. I didn't have anything to carry around. That's fine.
Right?
But I, you know, and I also never was like, oh, I want to get implants. I was like, I know I don't want to carry that around all the time, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, these are new and fun. I gained weight everywhere. And like, this is a little part of being like, okay, I gained weight everywhere, but now look at this curve. Like,
look at this. I think it's awesome.
And now, you know, it'll look different in 10 years. So, you know, they're having their time in the spotlight.
My mom always said, if you got it, flaunt it.
Why not?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Why not? You absolutely should celebrate your body and what makes you feel good. And look at these new shiny things you've got. Look at these. Look at these.
This is my hack. So when I get dressed, if I'm going out, I always wear something that's super extra. Extra is my thing. Like, maybe with 3 X's, maybe not. But here's the thing. If I wear something that's really over the top, then when I go out and people are staring, whether it's like a good stare or a judgy stare, either way, if I catch them staring, they're going to compliment me. Just, you know, they have to, compulsory, right? And then I get to meet a new stranger and have a conversation and let them know, like, I'm not just like some whatever, like, I'm totally the normal girl. I want to be your best friend. I want to know all of your story. I want to integrate it with my story. I want you to learn from me. I want to learn from you. Like, I'm obsessed with like collecting humans. And their stories. And I like that. And so that's my little thing when I get dressed. I'm like, how can I just be like way over the top in some portion?
Yeah.
Where it'll start a conversation.
I love that. Your tatas are your conversation starter. Just kidding. Seriously though, but you've got
you know this part.
Oh yeah. Bridget's down to 9 fingers.
Down to the DIY. So my nickname now is fully embraced 9-digit Bridget.
Yeah.
I cut my own middle finger off while I was renovating like a vintage camper to make into a mobile boudoir studio.
Yep, I remember.
And so, yeah, that's like twists and turns in life. That was one of them. I wouldn't take it back for the world. I fully embrace it. I'm like, you know, the world's greatest 9-fingered photographer.
Yep.
And I will claim it.
I love it.
It's just like really lets people let their guard down. That's how I introduce myself.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh my gosh, I love that. And we just flow. You know what I mean? I'm the most down to earth.
Okay. So that,
dark humor.
Right. Welcome to the dark humor couch.
Yes.
This is where we live. I also really love being self-deprecating because it's like, it just feels real. There are a million things about me that you can laugh at.
Stuff that's in your head.
Yeah.
Right?
Say it out loud and let it be free.
Yeah. It takes the power away.
Well, here's the other thing is one of the common themes from the podcast that I'm finding is that women, it is absolutely terrifying for women to not be perfect.
Yeah.
And that the way I gave up on perfect a long time ago, although it always sneaks back, don't get me wrong, but like, I find that that is a way that I can quickly connect with women is to share something that is not perfect. And that is also another huge part of this podcast is to highlight we're all just real people, no matter like what you consider perfect, whether it be accomplished or your version of beautiful, whatever it may be. We're all just real people. And I love that 9-digit Bridget is like, look, perfect would be 10 digits, but I think you're perfect with 9.
I love it. Actually, I prefer it.
Yeah,
so.
Right. That other one was just in the way.
Really just always break the ice.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. Like, I want to have all the people and let's be besties.
I love it. You collect people. And I think you do, you just like truly, even outside of Boudoir, just have such a great way of, you can tell that it is your mission to make people feel comfortable.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think that that's so important. I think women, would you agree? Like, I think society wise, we've done a lot better of shifting away from competing against each other. Like, I think we still compare. And that's like sort of in our bones and our DNA to be like, how'd she do it? Did I do it quite as well? But like, we don't necessarily compete as much or like take each other down as much, which I love.
Right. Like, is that in my algorithms or is that truly what's happening? I hope. And that's part of my mission of like changing the narrative, right? Like, I just feel like at least, I don't know if it's generational, but I think you're the same age as me. So were you raised to think like women don't make good friends, women aren't trustworthy, all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And
then I went into the corporate world where it was like you pit against each other and you go for that promotion and you take the other person down. And it is like, oh my God, it feels like politics. And it was a lot. But like, and honestly, that's finally why I left corporate. But I do think it's better. And I think that society overall for women is shifting away from that, especially just in sort of so many of these women movements as of recently, and all of us just wanting control over our own bodies and all the things that we sort of all level set on, that like finally we're not so competitive against each other, which is one of the things that I really love about your Facebook community. And like you were saying as an anecdote before this, like when you share photos, tell me about the reactions that the rest of the community has.
Right. So, and I wish this wasn't like a shocking thing, but I have a community of 3,000 local women. I've never had to moderate a comment. I've never asked someone to leave or block someone from joining. It's always been positive and uplifting. And I mean, I do say that coming in, like, this is a space for us to only be mature, empowering adult women. Right. So if you're still stuck in that, like, competition and women don't make good friends, like, have a little bit of faith, come in and see that we are just, I mean, I think that other women can be your biggest cheerleaders.
Yes.
And the very best friends. Like, I don't believe that women make terrible friends.
I don't either.
That used to definitely be like, I was like, oh, I'd rather just be friends with guys.
Same.
Like,
I grew up that way too.
Right?
Yeah.
But women can understand you in a way that, men can't. You have shared experiences. And I think also to not be too Swifty, but there's a lyric that Taylor has that says,
you can be as Swifty as you want here. Okay, just to be real clear.
We figured you out. We all have crowns.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, like, with society is like, we are inundated. Don't spill your drink, sis.
Oh, thanks, girl.
Just finish it off like me.
Yes, ma'am. Cheers.
Okay.
Here I go. Okay.
So I think the other thing about Boudoir and just being inundated with like women's insecurities and women being so open with me and raising daughters. And by the way, I gave birth to 2 daughters. I have 2 foreign exchange daughters.
Yeah,
so I have 2 daughters from Thailand that absolutely are my daughters.
Right.
And all of their friends, like I really just like
collect them.
Again,
right. You're a collector.
Like, if you call me
you're
mom,
a person hoarder.
I am. It's fine.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
it's absolutely perfect. So we were saying with the community that like women can be each other's greatest friends and we all have crowns.
Absolutely. And I think it's so much better. But the thing about societal pressures, and I think also when I was growing up, I thought feminism was a bad word. Like, I was literally feminist. just as quaint was like the B word. Like I thought that was like a terrible thing.
Yeah. That you were a B.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I had to like see for myself. So I think Boudoir and all the experience that I've had and all the influences I've had from other women has shown me like society really just sets us up for failure. It does try to pit us against each other. Yeah. We are better if we can rise above that and be together.
God, community is everything.
A lot more powerful, right?
Yeah.
But it's like when you and I were growing up, I think the it girl was like, you wanted to be Kate Moss Thin and Pamela Anderson tits, right?
Yep.
That was the thing.
Literal. Yeah.
I was the Kate Moss Thin. I had 0 boobs.
I was neither.
And then
I was a tomboy with a bowl cut. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
But here's the thing, like, and I'm so into being a weirdo now. Like, I want to be everything that's not on brand. Like, Same. I want to be like this weird, misshapen, shiny
just
star
want to be me
with 9 fingers, and like, ooh, that's what makes me special, right? Yeah. But then it's like right now, I'll say maybe it's like more BBL shape is on trend, and like, my daughter is like the most perfect, proportionate, like gorgeous everything, and I heard her say once, I just wish I had like a bigger butt and no boobs. And I'm like, you have like perfect 8.5 cup implants, like perky, right. Just completely proportionate.
Yep.
And I'm like, where I would never hear anyone. I haven't heard anyone of our generation say it. Like, I just wish I had no boobs, right? But that's the narrative, right? That's the narrative on social media is like, you want this athletic build, you want a round bottom, you want this flat top, apparently. And
when did that
made me so that made me realize like there's a goal, right? There's a supposed like it, and it's like literally we will mutilate and change our body via surgery to be this exact thing. And then they change the narrative, right? The Kardashians are explanting their BBLs, and something else is going to be what's the BBL? So BBL is a Brazilian butt lift. So you like pack they'll take fat from different parts of your body and shove it into your butt. So then you're round thing in your face, itty bitty waist.
Apple bottom jeans.
Whatever, exactly. So like, I just think there's such a variety of body shapes.
Yes.
And do what makes you feel good. I am not against surgery. I'm not against whatever.
Right.
But I just am so like aware that it's all a ruse, right? To make you feel like you cannot add up to the perfection.
Yeah.
You can never hit the actual goal because if you get close, they're going to move the target.
Right.
And that's the societal like mind fuck.
Yes.
My language. That's societal mind fuck that I really am trying to undo for people. Like pull back the curtain and see like, you're never going to be what society says is perfect.
No.
Because it's always going to change. And that's what drives the beauty industry. That's what drives all these things to make us continue to feel like we're not enough.
Not enough.
But that is just so glaringly obvious to me when it's like, I have gorgeous, incredible, beautiful, whole humans tell me like, I could never do this because I have weird knees or whatever it is.
Weird like, knees, but that will literally stop someone from doing it.
Yes. So I will be totally transparent. I asked Betsy today, like she always sits on this side of the couch.
Oh,
Her sits there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would it make you uncomfortable if I sit on the other side of the couch? Here's why. There are no existing pictures of me on the internet from my right side. I've made sure of it. I've been with my husband for 25 years. I don't like him to be in the passenger seat because then he's looking at my troll side. Now,
Am I looking at your troll side?
You are. See it?
No wonder you have your hair all in front of your face.
It's a whole thing. So that is something that lives in my head. If I hadn't told anyone that, likely they would never think of that.
Literally, your right side looks just like your left side, and they're both beautiful.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. But in my head, it's a thing, right? So my major life hack for young women, hopefully I can reach women when they're younger. Yeah. But I'll tell you as well.
I'm younger.
Okay.
Thank you.
Same. Let's do it. We are younger than like half the population.
Youngerish. Yeah. Sort of. I think I'm in the middle. But you know what? I still feel.
I love it here, actually, by the way. 40s are like
I'm
writing
jam.
My story so beautifully in my 40s.
Yes, you are.
And I'm telling other women are like, oh, my 40s are coming. I'm like, yes, this is the fun part.
It's the best part yet.
Yes.
I tell you. My mom called it. My mom was like, 40s are my favorite. And I don't think I'd ever heard a woman in her generation say it. Yeah. And I was like, really? And now I'm hearing like, fuck scary. Yes, this is my favorite.
Yeah. It's like you get to just choose. the reason I'm doing the podcast today. Like, I'm in this era of like, not a lot of stuff thrills me. When you've been on the planet for 40 years, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
I loved having foreign exchange daughters because everything was novel, right? They'd never had cotton candy. They'd never seen snow.
Aww.
And I'm like, let's do all the things. It's kind of like when you have a toddler and every day is new, right?
Oh,
They're like,
God,
all
you're
these
so
things.
right. It really fills you up.
My babies weren't toddlers anymore. And so it was kind of like, things are kind of boring around here. So
right.
I'm kind of like in this phase of like, I want to do the things that really scare me.
Yeah. And here you are and you're freaking crushing it.
Listen, a couple months ago had my little foray accidentally, but I fully embraced it. Panic attacks and all. I performed as a burlesque dancer.
I saw that on the internet. Get it, queen.
And I have never in my life, I've never been a cheerleader. I have never done dance class. I've never done any of that. And I was up late on the internet one night. I signed up for a workshop where I thought like, oh, she'll teach me how to like move my hips.
Right. This will be empowering.
And then I got to class and she was like, so next week, bring your first minute of your act. And I was like, what act? And she's like, oh, like at the end of the 5 weeks. So we're meeting for 5 hours. At the end of the 5 weeks, you're going to perform. And I'm like, we have to perform in front of each other. And she's like, no, like publicly. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Can I opt out of that part?
Right. I would like to get my money back.
I didn't know this is what's happening. And she's like, I mean, you can, but no one ever has. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be the one.
Right. That a girl.
So I'm like, can I wear a mask the whole time? You know?
Yeah. Hey.
But it turns out I did not wear a mask. I wore sparkly, beautiful things. I took most of them off.
That a girl.
I had the time of my life. And then I came off stage and went backstage and had a full panic attack over it. But it was like so invigorating. And I may have done my debut and my retirement show in one. We'll see.
Doesn't matter. You did it.
Yeah,
and you pushed yourself out of your comfort zone.
And everyone's like, how did you do that? I could never do that. And I'm like, you looked so confident. And I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah, I was also out of body, but you did it.
Exactly. I blacked out. I don't remember it. I have to review tape to let you know how it went. But
I'm sure it went swimmingly. Okay, tell us what your life hack is. You said you're hiding your troll face over here, which is a PS. I call bullshit.
No. Here's my thing. If you're walking into a room and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to see my weird knees. Everyone's going to see my weird knees. Everyone's going to think as soon as I walk through, they're going to be thinking about my weird knees. No, actually, they're thinking about their weird elbows. Yes. Right? They're too consumed by their insecurity about their weird elbows to have any time to think about negative things about you. Yeah. Right? She's going to notice like, oh, her brows are so much better than mine or whatever. And I don't believe in it. Like, I think
it's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I don't think that people... At least I'm not. And I don't think that people are generally sitting around like trying to tear other people down.
No.
I think the major struggle for most of us is internal. And I think that we have the opportunity to lift other people up. And I mean, like I said, it changes my day to change someone's day, right?
Yes.
So like, why not? And it's never disingenuine. Like if I'm going to compliment you, it's because I really see something that is so beautiful. Like I said, I kind of have this dysmorphia where I see so much beauty and I want to remind you like, oh my gosh, girl, like your lips, your eyelashes, your, the way that you carry yourself or the smile, right?
Yeah.
I'm a smile girl.
Yeah. I'm a smile
girl. I probably honestly, like, I'm most insecure about my smile. Like, isn't that so weird? But like, I love a smile. It makes other people smile. Yeah. I'm going to appreciate your smile and I'm going to tell you. Like, it makes you feel better to make other people feel better.
That's like one of the things, like when you were saying that it really it makes the world a better place. And it's so easy to do, to go out there and just compliment someone. Like I'm always telling some random stranger, I'm like, your shoes are amazing or like whatever it is, just because I do it because I genuinely mean it. And I'm like one of those people where I just bleed love and I can't help it. But then
their countenance changes, right?
Yes.
Everyone that they see for the rest of the day gets a better version of them.
Yeah.
And that's like this ripple effect. I had on the way here, I made this little story of like, I'm such a dork. Like I can't even have a kombucha without making a mess. Like
you literally fell off your chair.
It's just me.
It's the highlight of my day.
But then I had like this gorgeous little, I go to a femme gym, right? I'm learning aerials. I'm learning hoop, lyra, pole, hammock, silks, all these fun things. Cause I want to run away to the circus one day.
Yeah.
But I'm
basically
42. I am the heaviest I've been in my life. And I post this story about me being such a dork because I just am. I fully embrace all these things. And a girl from my class who's like, maybe, I'm just going to guess, mid-20s, just, like an it girl, right?
Yeah, totally.
She immediately messaged me like, I just love you so much. I'm so excited for this podcast. You encourage me. I think your videos are amazing. I think, you're really living life right now. And
Yes.
I love that. And by the way, your outfit looks incredible. And I'm like,
yes, queen.
Okay, well, I have like a 20-something's approval. That's
yeah, you do.
Fun.
Yeah,
That's
you
fun.
do.
And I'm like, thanks for taking the time
yes.
out of your day to like compliment an old lady like me. And she's like, absolutely not. You have more energy than me. You have all the things going on. And like, I strive to be what you're being. And that's the write your own story part. That's the part where it's like,
yes,
she didn't have to do that.
No.
But she just took 30 seconds, to like, say something out loud that she was thinking.
And it absolutely changes the trajectory of everyone's day. And to your point, it absolutely has a ripple effect. So for example, in your Facebook group, when you post someone's photos with their permission and you are able to talk about their transformation that you saw behind the camera, and they're able to explain how much that literally changed their life to see themselves in this lens. What I'm obsessed with is the outpouring of the community in your Facebook page. These women have no reason to comment on anyone else's boudoir photos, but they're like
a complete
stranger that are like, oh my God, you look amazing. And it is just this like women loving on women. I just got goosebumps again. And it is just, you can tell that like, you started that by making that girl believe in herself and sign up for the session. And then you captured what makes her feel beautiful. It's not even the societal, this is what beautiful looks like to me. It's like, I can tell what makes you feel beautiful. And that's what I'm going to capture. And that's what we need more of. And then you share it with 3,000 like-minded women who are like, holy shit, this girl is gorgeous.
Yes.
200 pounds. Who cares? Literally, who cares?
Every woman who walks in feels nervous. Every woman tells me like, this is so out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have women. I don't like, some photographers will use models to shoot. I use every single day women. Like I will pull them from the grocery store, essentially. Whoever you see in the grocery store, that's the woman I'm shooting.
Right.
That's the woman I want to make an impact on. Right.
Yeah.
I've had women tell me like, even if I never receive a single image, today was worth every penny. And I'm not the cheapest. I'm not the most expensive. I am right where I have to be a sustainable business. But I have women say like, I literally, if I never received an image, this is worth every penny. And it's because
you're going to make me cry.
I see them in such a beautiful light. I have this gift. I don't claim it. I really think it's a gift to be able to show them what I see. And I mean, I'm shooting, I turn the camera around, no editing. I show them and they're like, that's not me. Right. Or I have no butt. And I'm like, you do. You just haven't seen it from the right angle.
Yeah.
Right? So then it's like, what? When they see themselves on the back of the camera, no editing, like, who is that? That's you.
Yes.
You just haven't been looking at yourself the right way yet.
Oh, God. Okay, pause. That I'm looking right at the camera. That is a life lesson. Whether it's your thoughts or whatever, you haven't been looking at yourself in the right way.
Right. It's just
that's your
this
thoughts.
Internal struggle.
If you feel like you're not pretty, if you feel like you're not smart, if you feel like someone's better, it is not the truth. It is you are looking at yourself in the wrong way.
Right. It's your
Full
own.
Stop.
It's just a perspective. All of life is a perspective, right? So what is your perspective? I think an easy way for me to check myself, because like I said, I more than anybody have this thought beat into my head, right? Because I see authentic insecurity from women shown to me all the time. And I'm like, you sound ridiculous. Like this perfect it girl 20-something saying I could never do boudoir like these XYZ. What? Are you joking me?
Yeah.
I think so many of us in our younger years just don't have that confidence built yet. And I'm like, if I can reach you while you're younger and just show you like, don't waste your youth on just feeling like you're not enough. Are you joking? You know? And I'm really I have boudoir done of myself every year or two, just to process, like, how am I changing to see myself from a different perspective than the stupid bathroom mirror, because that's not doing anyone any favors.
Or the stupid scale.
Right. Yeah.
Or the stupid likes on social or whatever it be.
Whatever it is where you try to like think, okay, this is where my worth is. This is where I've been told my worth is. Like,
forget it.
To get rid of that, right?
I think wholeheartedly, I feel this way for my kids. I feel this way for my friends. Anytime I see honestly, it could be a stranger. And when I see someone be insecure, and this is, I'm insecure. Don't get me wrong. This is not like I've got it figured out, but from someone who bleeds love and empathy, when I see someone who's insecure, in my head, honestly, I see it out loud. I'm like, if you could only see what I see.
Exactly.
And you get to capture what you see.
I get to fucking show you what I see.
Yeah.
And I've also had like, okay, we have this, this conversation about women, but I have also had these incredible partners to these women. I had someone literally this month, a man I met, and he, again, I collect people. So once you're my client, you're my person. Like, sorry, whether you like me or not, I'm keeping you.
Yeah. I'm here
so
for
I
it.
have a client, a Boudoir client who found me through a friend, which is always how it goes.
Yeah.
And we became friends. She's a hairstylist. And now she was cutting my hair in her basement while she was making dinner for her family, all these things.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
But it's like
this is what girls do.
Probably 2 years. Yeah. And by the way, she has like a bakery from home. She was also like making someone smash cake, making dinner for kids, probably under 9. I don't know. All of the things were happening at the same time. And she's highlighting my hair.
Right. You're like, I'll take a cut and color while we're at it.
How are you doing all of this? But I'm in her basement. And her husband comes down, and it's probably been 2 years since I shot her boudoir. So we've been friends for 2 years, and we're chatting it up. He's a carpenter. So he's like, I said, oh, hey, I'm 9-digit Bridget. Yeah. And he's like, oh, if you've heard the lore. And he's like, oh, I've heard the lore. He's like, I, am very careful now. I always think of you, whatever. And when his wife went upstairs to, check on the biscuits and gravy or whatever it was. Literally,
and make the smash.
Yeah. He said, I have wanted to meet you for so long. You changed my life. And I was like,
you're like, okay.
This is awkward. I was like, about the hand thing? Like, really?
Yeah.
But he said, and he was so genuine, like literally filling up with tears. He said, you changed my life. He said, the confidence that you gave my wife changed everything, changed our marriage, changed our bedroom life. He said, you showed her what I've been trying to tell her our entire marriage, right?
God, I'm going to lose
it. And then you're like, it's not like, you expect guys to be like, oh yeah, those pictures were hot, right?
Yeah.
You're like, you're an actual human being with like deep emotions and incredible appreciation. And the fact that I'm like, he supports her so much. He loves her so much that he, more than anything, just wanted her to see herself the way that he has seen her, right? From the beginning. And then after the 4 kids that they've had together. And he has just blown away. And he said, I'm not someone that would write a letter or something like that, but he's like, I've always wanted to meet you to be able to tell you that.
God, Bridget,
okay,
I literally am crying.
I have foils in my hair, and I'm like, that's so great.
That's so great.
Telling me, you know what I mean?
Tears stream down your face, and you're like, is this going to mess the chemicals up in my hair?
Right.
That is, God.
And it's not the first time I've actually heard that. Like, there are legit, amazing, incredible dudes out there that are like, this is what they take from it.
Yeah.
And I
hope, can we pause? And you and I don't ever slow down, but let's slow down for a second, because I know you
never
roll
heard of it.
at the, right. I'm like, that's actually not a speed.
240 miles an hour.
Literal. I hope you put that in your pocket. And I know I think you do, because you can sit here and tell me that story, but like, I hope you take a minute to downshift, maybe even roll in neutral for just a sec, and realize the impact that you're having on people and their families. And like, it's the reverb effect of like how highlighting people's greatness can change the world.
Right. So when I was a massage therapist, I saw that. I also probably my main mission, I think, is to undo this belief of like, women should put everyone else first.
Oh,
I very much bought into that. Like,
me too. Still working on it.
It was very noble to put yourself last, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's religious or
societal,
just cultural, right?
Sure.
You should put XYZ first, and then maybe it's your husband, and then it's your kids, and then it's all the other people in your life. And then, a great woman will just put herself last. And I don't believe in that at all.
At all.
So I was working as a massage therapist in a affluent little gym, and I would see like a stay-at-home mom come in with her little ducklings following behind, right?
Yeah.
And she's exasperated because maybe she had to undo 4 car seats, and then someone had a breakdown over a sucker, whatever it is, right?
It's a long list.
She's so exhausted coming through the door. And if I can stop her for a 5-minute chair massage on the house, and, I'll be silly and entertain the kids while they're sitting around, but 5 minutes, right? When she comes out of the chair, she's just this like refreshed, brighter,
lighter,
wide-eyed, just a better mom, right? She's the better version of herself. And that was a freaking 5-minute investment in herself.
Yes.
And it's going to change her whole day. It changes her kids, her kids have a happier mom that's not been, grouchy, they're going to be nicer to the kids in the daycare. It's like
it is a
ripple
reverb
effect.
Yes.
And I really started looking at that like, oh, so putting yourself last, if you're this worn down, empty shell, grouchy, I don't even want to hang out with that version of me. You know what I mean? Have you ever had those days where you're like, I don't even like me today?
Anytime after like 8 p.m. I don't want to hang out with me either. I'm so tired.
Yeah, I'm getting on my own nerves because it's like you give. And it's the whole thing of like, you can't pour from an empty cup, whatever it is.
It's
but
true.
Like if you invest in yourself a little bit, then I have found the more you take care of yourself, the better you can take care of the people around you.
1,000%.
And that's where I really have to hack my brain because I'll do anything for my people.
Of course you will.
And then in my head, I'm like, oh, I can do without, I can do without. But like, it's the same as when I started, my business. It's like, I didn't want to charge. I just want to be a blessing to people. I didn't want to charge what I had to be sustainable business. But I realized like, this has taken so much time for my family and I've been so stressed and I've been a grouchy version of myself.
Yes.
And I can't even pay my taxes and be profitable. You know what I mean? Yes. I had to say, okay, I love photography so much. I would do it for free if I could.
I know you would.
Continuing now, almost 2 decades later.
Yes.
But you need to pay me for the time that I'm taking away from my family.
Yes.
And that was very
and the
easy
energy
for me to say. Very easy for me to say, like, this is how much it's going to take for you to pay me to have 4 hours away from my family. To have 10 hours away from my family.
Yes.
It's not like you are paying me. It's just a placeholder of like the opportunities that I'm missing.
Yes.
If I'm working nights and weekends, it's
at a cost.
Birthday parties that I'm missing or bedtime tucks or whatever those things are. And that for me is a lot more tangible to be like, no, those things need to be compensated for.
Absolutely.
And if it's not about me, that's easier. But the same thing, like when someone's going to, right, I think women, we really have this struggle of saying like, I'm worth it. Yeah. I deserve this. Right? Yeah. A boudoir session is always for you. But a lot of women feel like it needs to be like, oh, for an anniversary present or for a gift or for my groom or whatever those things are. If that's what you have to tell yourself, I'm fine with it because 15 minutes in with me, like I'm going to show you this is actually for yourself.
For you.
I don't care if you've been married 20 years. You're under no obligation to share your images with anyone.
Yeah.
Same thing within my group. I've never have an expectation that you will share. Mm-hmm. Now, if you do, a lot of times you'll have several women that see themselves in you. So it's like, oh, she's a teacher. She has long hair like me. She has freckles. She's X amount overweight. Like you'll see them seeing, what they can actually do. And you're like, God, she looks phenomenal. Yeah. Maybe if she can do it, I can do it. Give themselves permission.
Yes.
But if it's like, if it takes, an anniversary or something to get you in the door, I'm fine with
whatever
that.
It takes.
But in the end, it's always for you and it's going to impact you. It's going to impact your life. It's going to impact the confidence that you have. And that ripple effect is everything.
One of the things that I want to make sure that we hit on again is this notion of women feel that they are of service and that they constantly have to put everyone else first. I am in this middle of this exploration of sort of like, oh shit, I feel a tangent coming.
Let's go.
I have a whiteboard. It's already full of shit. Can I get another whiteboard of this sort of exploration of what it means to be feminine and soft and not having to always be strong? I was raised really independent and I'm so grateful for that. But I've also I've had to survive a lot of things too. No one feel bad for me. We've all had to survive a lot of things. So I'm so craving to just be soft and cared for because there is something innately about being feminine where you can care for others, but there are boundaries with that. And it is no longer about women give everything to everyone. And I now know what that feels like for my boundary. And what would kill me is if my daughter or my sons or your daughter or your sons live their life only to make everyone else happy.
Right. The people pleasing thing.
I'm going to pull this closer to you.
Thanks.
I got you, girl.
So here's two things. I might have got distracted.
You didn't get distracted.
Maybe I said this or maybe I didn't.
No, I just want to reiterate that it is no longer acceptable for women to just give everything to everyone else because it's hard to police that in our own selves, but it literally just tears my heart to shreds to think that my children would do that for somebody else. Because their life.
So this is another
matters.
hack. So for women, it's so easy for us to be like, I don't know, we're so hard on ourselves, but let's put it in a different perspective where we're looking at taking care of someone else is a lot easier than taking care of ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have this very often used hack for my brain where it's like, and I really try to drive this home for every woman that I meet. It's like, if you wouldn't say something to your daughter, we're not saying it to ourselves anymore.
I say that all the time too.
Point blank period.
Point blank period.
I have clients that are like, I hate this about myself. And it's like, if your daughter had, quote, that weird knee or whatever it is, like, would you say that to her? Like, yes. Oh, you look great, but I wish you wouldn't show your weird knees to the public. Like, right. What? No, of course not. And so I think it kind of works the other way too. Like, I think that we need to really rein in what we're saying to ourselves, and then also, the things that we're saying to other people.
I think that was also while we were just bopping and weaving all over the place, because this is just what we do. We're just thumbing the wheeze in the car, just driving all over the country.
Interruptions or anything. Oh, while I have the thought, it's like, so if we're able to give all of this softness and kindness and support to other people, yes, then can we do that for ourselves?
Yes. Yes.
Not only is it like, I'm not going to say these things because I wouldn't to somebody else, but like, what kind of love can you give to yourself? Because we're so good at giving it out, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We're so good at being soft or supportive or kind or uplifting
and loving
to other people. Like, that's my whole jam. I wake up, I want to make everyone's day.
Same.
Like, that's my thing. I want people to be happy. If everyone's not happy around me, I take it as a personal failure. And that's something I know is like pretty toxic. I'm working on that.
Got that, a girl.
But,
yeah.
How about if I pour into myself the way that I pour into other people? How much better then am I for the people that I do serve?
Yes. And this is what I'm learning in my new phase of life, is that I need to have that bright, shiny, warm, fuzzy, inflow, fully loved feeling in myself. I can't get that from somebody else. Someone can either help me sustain it or add to it, but it certainly can't be from somebody else. It can't be, I can't rely on my kids for that. I can't rely on someone I'm in a relationship for that. I can't rely on my girlfriends for that. And when I look at my healthiest relationships, it's like, they actually just make me feel more amplified version of me.
Yeah.
Learning that it does not come from anybody else. But if someone is detracting from that and turning your light off, whether that be a friend, a client, a boyfriend, whatever, and it doesn't mean that people are bad or whatever. It just means that everyone has their own unique light and their own unique gifts, and that is a gift. Everyone is, a good person and doing their best, but you get to pick and choose.
Right.
And that's for you to protect. And that's one version. It was a really important version of self-love that I'm learning.
Yeah. I am very into, I'm in my era of like being the sparkliest version of me.
Yeah.
And I know that there are people in my life that I have often, I think, felt like I'm too much. So whether people overtly say it or their actions say it,
I get that.
There are people in my life that would like rather me be a little bit less, like just a little bit quieter, a little bit, a little bit less wild, or a little bit less spotlighty and sparkly. Yeah. But I've also had the great fortune of being in this era now that I have met people who say like, no, this version of you is fucking awesome.
It absolutely is.
I really support it and encourage it. And I'm going to sit right here and clap for you as you go and do your thing.
Yes.
And that made me feel like, oh, so these wild, shiny parts of me, it doesn't have to take anybody else's light away, but like,
no,
it's not hurting anyone,
It should be hopefully inspiring others.
Right. So I'm very much in writing my own story in the era of like, my closest friends call me B. So it's not just BD. BD is my brand, but B, like BEE, because I'm very like all over the place. Thanks.
Taking this away from you.
Yes,
you keep rattling it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You've been policed. You've been put in timeout.
So B is like, when I did burlesque, it's important to have kind of like this alter ego that you can really pour into.
Love it.
So my burlesque name is B Naughty with 2 E's on the end as well.
You're amazing.
B Naughty.
Yes, queen.
But in my everyday life or in my fun weekend life, I'm B. And that's because I'm like zinging all over the place. I'm a little bit predictably unpredictable and just buzzy. And whoever is assigned to me for the night of keeping me alive is the beekeeper. And I just go and I live loud and full. And I'm so grateful that I have this, society. I have this core group of people who love me for me. And they're like, I have no idea what's the next thing that you're going to pull out, but like, I'm excited to see, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to make sure you're safe and clap for you while you do it. And that is incredible.
And I think that goes, I mean, we are so similar in that way that I'm just like, I've got more energy than I know what to do with. We show up in really different ways, but I've learned, and I think what you're saying too is like the people that it's palpable that you can feel them uncomfortable in your presence. I have learned to turn the volume down on that. And I've also learned, because we are both deeply empathetic, meaning that we absorb everybody's energy, which is
toxic empathy is like my main workstation this year and last year. It's like, I have to really work on that.
Right.
Like,
and
let other people have their own experience.
That's their shit.
Yeah.
Right. And that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like, that's my saying. I'm like, that's their shit. And a great person in my life told me that, and I love it. And
let them be them. And
and you be you.
I don't need to fix everything.
No, you don't. And
That's
and like their energy around you is just their energy. It has nothing to do with a reflection of you. I think when we think about Boudoir and like highlighting, and what I love about your work is that it is every shape, size, body. And I see this a lot
100%.
in Boudoir, and I friggin' love it. I think that the way that this is a rhetorical you, this is not a BU, or a BDU if we're on brand. The way that people show up in the world, I feel like women now are great about celebrating their uniqueness in their gifts as a soul, as a human, as a friend, as a mother, as a daughter, as a wife, as a partner, whatever it may be. What we still have to work on is celebrating the uniqueness of our bodies.
Yeah.
And which is like, oh Lord, we've got everything in society being like, nope, if you don't fit the mold, if you don't get your Brazilian butt lift, did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it right.
I know.
Hey, it's the culture.
Like then you're off. Or like if you aren't, whatever the latest standard is that you have to keep up with, you no longer apply. And then we apply that like a wet blanket on top of our body, and it suffocates us, and it doesn't let us just celebrate who we are.
Right. I think I'm probably kind of atypical in my everything, but in my parenting, right? So I think, I've been to nursing school. I have photographed babies being delivered at doula training. I was a massage therapist for a long time. Bodies are bodies to me. And you would think I would be desensitized, but I am not. Like literally, I have hundreds of pieces of lingerie in my closet, right? For my clients. And I'll have someone walk in and I'm like, I've never seen anyone shaped like her. Like, this is so cool. I love XYZ about her. Let me help her dress herself in this way. And the next person maybe can go in the same lingerie. Like it fits them. I get stretchy pieces, but it's like, wow, it looks totally different on her. I'm continually blown away, like how diverse bodies are, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's so important, representation, right? So my girls were mid-teenagers, and I'm also very into culture. Like, I feel like I have a little bit of boring, like I'm just kind of like plain white girl from Ohio. What's our history? Kentucky, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have always been obsessed with different cultures and learning all these different things. And so I think diversity and seeing different representation is very important. And I went to a Korean spa when the girls were like, let's say 14, 16, that age where you're just like angsty and you just feel like everyone else is all the things that they should be. And you're none of those things.
Yeah.
And you don't know what anyone else's body looks like except for what you've seen on Instagram. And like, I definitely don't look like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, am I weird? Am I abnormal? I went to this Korean spa, and basically it's like divided men and women's locker room. When you're in the women's locker room, everyone is nude. You would feel weird if you were not nude.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of preparation for my girls with that and deciding like, do you want to be part of this experience? Do you want to try this out? And they were a little bit nervous, but I just thought it was so important for them. We went in and they saw the full gamut. Like, there was an old Swedish lady with long gray hair and a gray bush. There was like, black girls with a small butt and didn't look like Serena Williams. There were all these different types. There was, Korean mom, grandma, and granddaughter, like helping each other wash their hair and wash their bodies, and just all these different like exposures of like, oh, these are what other bodies look like.
Yes.
And my body looks like XYZ. Their body looks completely different, but like none of them actually look like any of the Sports Illustrated stuff I've seen. So like, this is interesting, right?
Yep.
I think representation is important. And I think it's very healthy for, you know, all of us to see a diversity of bodies. That's why I'm so proud and excited when my clients do decide to share. Other women can say like, oh my gosh, she looks like me.
Yes.
If she could do it, maybe I could do it. Because all of us, from my experience, all of us say, Boudoir is so amazing. I love that. That's so beautiful. It's for everyone else except for me.
Yeah.
Because of my weird whatever, which isn't really a thing.
It's not weird. It's
Do I really have a troll side?
No, God, your sides look exactly the same.
I'm convinced, but that's my own thing. You know what I mean?
Here. If we're taking one juicy takeaway from that, it is that Bridget has a symmetrical face and they literally match both sides.
Let's work it.
Put this hair on your body, but just get it
No,
right.
I always keep it on the side.
I think this is literally breaking news for me because I've never thought about it this way. And I think about women and how we view ourselves and how we show up probably more than most, but it is something that I am so deeply passionate about. And when we still have so much work to do on the comparative nature. We've gotten better in our professional life and our motherhood lives and our friendship lives, but our bodies, we still have so much work to do. And it is like, put your blinders on and stay in your lane, or take your blinders off and look at all these different bodies around you. If my jeans went on your body, they would fit you differently.
Right.
That doesn't make a lick of difference.
Right. And in my experience, it's like all these women, you know, like, oh, well, we want what we can't have. It's like, I hate my curly hair. And then the next person's like, God, I wish I had that curly hair.
Yes, my son is that way. One of my twins, Alex, has this wild curly hair and I'm obsessed with it. Yeah. And he hates it. Yeah. He always, and his twin, who they are, as you know, unbelievably fraternal, different as it gets. Ethan has blonde, straight hair and Alex has thick, brown, curly hair. And when Alex gets out of the shower, he combs it straight and is like, look, mommy, I have flat hair.
Like
and
Ethan. I want to be like Ethan, right?
And I'm like, nope.
Ethan, but are we admiring ourselves and our uniqueness?
Right. And your own uniqueness. And the amount of people that put their hands in Alex's hair because they are so obsessed and just want to touch it and have to have it and this curly hair. It's like, God, you have a gift. You know, I mean, he's got a million gifts, don't get me wrong, but like your uniqueness, no matter what it may be, no matter your 9-digit Bridget, whatever it is, that is your gift. And I just think that women, maybe that really is the key to confidence. And like, confidence is, to me, like confidence is sexy.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It is not sure, it's what you wear or whatever, but you can be just as sexy in sweats as you can and some hot number from your closet.
Yeah. So let me tell you, if you guys want to know the ultimate secret.
Yeah.
Because what I get to see behind the scenes of so many people and their thoughts and their feelings and then actual, you know, this sexiness is what I help you find. But the actual truth is like, you are what you tell people that you are. So if you say like, I am sexy, you're showing confidence. That confidence is the sexiest thing.
Hell yeah.
And all of it actually is just saying like, okay, this is me and this is what I bring to the table, and wearing it proudly instead of being ashamed about it. You're telling people like, is it amazing to have a missing finger? Or is it like, oh, so tragic and I'm so sorry about that? Like, no, don't be sorry. This is my favorite thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you get to change the narrative and you get to choose what people decide about you by what you decide about yourself.
Yes.
So if I am saying I'm sexy, I am loud, I am bright, I am bubbly, I am shiny, then that's what people are like, damn, she's sexy. Yes, she's shiny. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that we have so much more control over that than we think. All of it is perspective.
And that's why they call it spelling, because it is literally like words matter. What you say out loud or what you say in your head is a spell that you put on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But like, that's for real. Like that's why they call it spelling, because the words that you say to yourself or that you say out loud to the world are literally intrinsically sort of flooded in your body. So it is so important, girls. It is so important to say kind things to yourself.
Right.
And to find the beauty in your uniqueness and to celebrate it and fucking put on your sparkles and wear it loud and proud. Or let me just do a quick shout out to all of our introverted friends out there. That's also so beautiful.
Yeah,
Your
absolutely.
quietness, your softness, your ability to sit and take in the whole room, and your effort to show up and love on people. And then I know you need to go home and rest for days.
But that's like a confidence that I'm like as extroverted as could be, which is weird. When I was growing up, I was as shy as could be. Like I would cry if my mom asked me to, ask the waitress for ketchup yourself. Like, no, I don't want to say it. You know what I mean? I was so shy.
Yeah.
Now I just really, really pull energy from other people. And I love that. And I want to meet everyone. I'm as extroverted as can be. But then you have these introverted people that I'm like, damn, I wish I had the confidence to like have lunch by myself or sit for hours reading a book in a window. Like I don't want my own company like that. Like I want to like be around other people and absorb from them.
Yeah.
So I think that introversion is just its own type of confidence. And,
I love that. It is really beautiful. They are some of the deepest thinkers. They are and just because they're introverted, God, I think of all my beautiful introverted friends, like it's another form of beautiful.
Absolutely.
And
diversity.
It is diversity. So I think, okay, let me try and hit some of my favorite points, and what I've missed that are some of your favorite points, please add on top. That what you love to show people what you see, and that it is not about fighting the flaws in your life. It is to lean into what you love and find beautiful about yourself.
Right.
And it is to view your physical beauty as it is to view your, emotional, intelligent, whatever else it is that you find great about yourself. Your uniqueness in your body is just as important as your uniqueness in your point of view or how you show up in the world. But it needs to be celebrated, and it is your God-given right to be confident, because none of us are the same.
Right.
And like,
what and a none gift. Of us are perfect. No. We think everyone else is.
Yeah. And that, like, I'm trying to think what else, but that, like, it is, and also the community of women and the ripple effect that we can have to be like, to just shed a little bit of light and beauty into the rest of the world and highlight something great about someone, the tiniest little 1-second thing, whether it be on social or whether it be out in the real world, just say something kind, because it has this massive ripple effect on the world. Yeah. And to make sure that in order to find our own which I want to, someone put this in a writing because I want to talk about it in a minute. How do we find confidence in ourselves? But to speak to ourselves as we would speak to our daughters, or we would speak to our sons,
your best friend,
or your best friend,
or your mom,
because your words to yourself and what you project and you literally say out to the world absolutely matter. And it is ingrained in your body. So you want to just love on yourself as I would love on you, or to the people that I love. Okay. One last question. No, I got a couple more. Okay.
But I have to interrupt again.
Yeah.
I have
what else?
My very, very, very best friend from 9th grade, probably. We have kind of parallel lives. She's had a bunch of kids. She's always lived in different parts of the world. So I've always been in Ohio. She's been in Colorado or the Netherlands or Germany or all these different things. But she calls, we're like that person for you that's like, yes, home. And we know the full history of each other. And we don't have to talk every day, but like she can call me 6 months from now, maybe we go 6 months, and then she calls me in crisis,
Yeah, sure.
So I picked up the phone and she's like, I'm just having the worst time and I'm a terrible mom and I'm a terrible wife. And I'm like, what? Like, that sounds insane. You absolutely are not. But have I said those things to myself? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very important and easy, I think, for me to check myself and my self-talk, just saying like, if someone else was saying this, what would be my advice?
Yes. Yes. I love that, because thank you for being honest and vulnerable about that. Just because you and I love to empower other women doesn't mean that we don't fight the voices and the doubt ourselves every single day. I have to some days I never get it right. And I'm like, man, you suck. And you're ugly. And you're a bad mom.
Right.
And
you have those weird fucking knees.
Yeah. What's wrong with my knees? Mine is more my belly, but whatever. Yeah. And like
everyone, all our belly. Everyone has the belly.
God, everyone's got their shit.
Yeah.
And that was also another point that I wanted to put on the recap board, is that like when you are out and you're like, my knees are weird or my belly's weird. And everyone's got their thing. No one's looking at your thing because they're too busy worried about their thing. But I love that like, find your people that are home and remind each other to celebrate each other. And then also let that be a realization that like, have a minute to reflect on how when you're sitting here pumping your daughter up and pumping your friend up and pumping your son up and pumping your husband up,
what you doing for you, girl?
Yeah.
Take a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel? What are some of we've talked about hacks. What are your hacks for finding confidence? So you said Tata's out, sparkles on. I fucking love that.
Yeah,
I'll put
why
on
not?
like a sexy bra just to hang out at home because I'm like, I feel great in this.
Yeah, exactly. I have friends or clients that I'm like, or maybe you're not a client yet. Maybe if you're in my group, I call you a BD babe, right? So like you're automatically a BD babe. You're in the club. We are just so supporting of each other. And I have the great fortune of like, every once in a while, it'll be 2 a.m. and I shop the internet for all of the pretty lingeries.
I think
I buy them because like,
2 a.m. is prime shopping time. Yeah.
It's tax deductible. This is a business expense. And I buy all the prettiest things and I buy them supposedly in my size. And then if they're too small or too big, it's fine. It goes in the client closet.
Right.
If it's my size, then next time I go out, like I'm going to shop the client closet.
Someone write that in their business model. That is brilliant. I hope you guys are taking notes.
Yeah. Expensible lingerie.
Yes.
But I had a client on the way here. She's like, I don't want you to feel like I'm just using it for the closet, but like I'm going to Ghost Baby in Cincinnati on Friday night. Like, what should I wear? And I'm like, come to the closet.
Come to the
Let's
closet.
just dress you up, have fun. And all of my stuff is like, if you're a BD babe, come borrow. If you're going to Miami, like maybe you're not going to like invest in these pieces that like you literally would never wear at home. But like Miami allows you to maybe be sparkly, smart, be version of you, right?
Yeah.
So come and borrow it from the closet. And I love that. I just really love to encourage women. Like, let's just find where you're comfortable and push a little bit past that. Not to a point where you're ever going to regret it, but like, it's more often that you're going to regret, like, oh, I wish I just did a little bit more, right? And it's I'm like here the for push, that part. Like, let's just do
a little bit more, because like if you really get to it, that's the growth. Yeah. The growth is always in the uncomfortable. That's just a little bit more.
So that's why I'm like, as awkward and as much anxiety as I might have, I'm kind of pushing myself into those things because it's like, I'm in my 40s. If I'm not going to do it now, then when? Like, maybe 3 years from now, I'm taking care of my parents or something major has changed with my children and I don't have the ability to travel, whatever it is. Like, if not now, why? Yeah. And just putting everything off is not. I love think that we should just really like push ourselves and enjoy the time that we have and embrace all these parts of us that are just a little bit uncomfortable. Like you're saying, that's where the growth is.
Yeah. God. Ugh, I feel that so deeply. It's so many aspects
of
my
life.
It's
so uncomfortable.
Right now.
The growth is like so uncomfortable, but then also like on the other side, you're like, fuck yeah, I didn't even know this version of me existed. I like it.
Yes, that is what I'm obsessed about with my 40s. It's like I've lived through enough life, as we all have, that I'm not messing around anymore. And that my peace and my joy and the light that I have in me that I know shines so bright is non-negotiable. And that I am learning all these different things that either light it up or dim it down, and like am able to make those choices. And when it comes to confidence, let's just myth bust right here. The most confident person in the room still has loads of insecurity.
Absolutely.
Man, woman, doesn't matter. And that when someone is showing up and dimming your light, that has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. And that doesn't even make them a bad person.
Right.
It's just their
a
shit.
Human thing.
Yeah. Humans are complicated.
Their insecurities, and sometimes that's projected on you. And especially as empaths, we're like, put all your shit on me.
I'll hold it.
I'll take it.
I'll put you in my pocket. Yeah, totally.
So I think, it doesn't say so much about them, but like, what is my power in my situation? Like, is this something I can affect? And if not, like, I'm just going to be a human and let them have their human experience and know that tomorrow it's going to look different. Everything changes. Yeah. So I just can't, fall in a hole with you, because that's not going to do anyone any better. Right? No. I'm going to stay up here, take care of some shit that's not being taken care of because you're in the pits. Yeah. And I'll put my hand down, and whenever you're ready to grab it, that's great. Yeah. But jumping down in the hole, which is what I've always done.
We talk about the hole a lot.
Leaves everyone else just like scrambling without any support. So I'm going to stay here. Yeah. I'm going to support you when you're ready for it. Yeah. And how you're ready for it. But like allowing other people to have their human experience instead of just demanding that everyone around me is happy. Yeah. Is a learning thing for me.
I love that. I think that also goes to like allowing everyone to show up completely as themselves. Like that includes yourself. To be confident, you just have to show up messy every day. No one is perfect, put that down.
Yeah.
Stop comparing bodies.
Yeah.
We're going to only speak to ourselves as though we were speaking to our best friend and our daughter. We are going to fully realize that our shit is our shit and that everyone else has got their shit. And that, so like, stop comparing, because what makes me insecure is like probably something that you're like, man, I wish I had that. And what makes you insecure, I'm like, man, so jealous. And like, to just celebrate our bodies as individual, every single cell, piece, wrinkle, shape, size, as a beautiful gift, and whatever makes you feel confident in your body, whether it be the clothes that you put on your body, if you think makeup makes you feel confident, if walking around with no makeup in your hair and a high pony and sweats makes you feel confident or comfortable, lean into.
If you want the BBL and you're here for that,
right.
I'm here for it too.
Same.
Do what you want to do.
Do
I
what
just
you
don't
want to
like
do.
to see, you know, people really go for one goal and then get to that goal and realize like everything's still the same. All of the internal talk is the same. That's what I'm trying to work on. Is like, what is the internal talk? What is the self-narrative? Because all of it is perspective. And if we can change the perspective, that's really where the growth comes to.
God. That's like, okay, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's like, literally, that's the takeaway. If we go back to your mission around changing the narrative and how we see and how we speak to each other, we speak to ourselves way more than we look in the mirror. Or maybe that's just me. I don't look in the mirror very much. I'm like, girl, we're good. Let's roll. Right. But like,
my husband's like, you got a little something right there. I'm like, well, that's just part of me today.
Part of me today. And it's from probably 4 days ago. And
exactly.
But it's like, it is no one's coming to save you. And it is not about the reflection of what others see in you. It is literally about what you see in yourself, and to be kind to how you speak to yourself and to be really choiceful. And that's probably it's exhausting to me to constantly have to choose again. Right. But now once you choose again enough, then you get the right thoughts in your head.
And you would do it for anyone else.
Heck yeah, I would. Yeah. Heck yeah. It would literally kill me if you were sitting here being like, my knees are weird and whatever. I would sit here for hours being like, your knees are perfect. Yeah. Like whatever.
I actually covet your knees.
Yes, I covet your knees. God, that left knee, cream of the crop.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think that's the ticket, is that it is up to us, ladies, us and only us, for how we speak to ourselves, how other people speak to ourselves. We keep the good. We turn down the volume on the bad. We turn down the volume on society, and we lean into our own unique bodies and embrace, honestly, every day is a gift. So whether you've just had a kid and you're squishy and mushy.
Yeah.
Oh, girl, been there.
The postpartum haze is like, I always tell my new moms, like, it's like crazy and awesome and the best time of your life, and the worst. And it's incredible and awful.
Yeah. And like the deep regret from eating Pop-Tarts every day of your pregnancy sets in, because you've got 65 pounds to lose. Speaking for a friend, clearly. Yeah. But like, just embrace the squish and the mush, because you just made a life. Yeah. Or if you...
And now, here's the thing too. Now that human is going to look for you as their example for everything. So are you showing them... You want them to be self-loving, not self-loathing, right? Mm-hmm. So what are you teaching them? What are you showing them?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter really so much what we say, but our actions. Our kids are always going to see the behind the curtains. Right?
And they look at you as perfect.
Right.
Until all of a sudden, they reach an age where they realize you're not perfect. But but
you're the prime example of what no one is more beautiful than your mama when you're a child.
And what you do is exactly what they're supposed to be doing in their eyes. So when they see you being self-deprecating, they're like, okay, that's what I do, which will not do. Yeah. Okay. Can we end on the one story real quick that you told me about a client who was being particularly hard? You had a tough conversation and it all turned out, but like, can we end on that?
For the most part, normally, I'm able to really quickly identify like, what are your major struggles and how can I help you see a different perspective of that, right? And like I said, for me, just checking myself, like, oh, would I say that to Brooklyn? Would I say that to Briella? Would I say that to Moke? Would I say that to Namwan? Would I say that to my daughters? No, absolutely not. So I'm not going to say that to myself. And I physically speak that and then teach that through some actions in my sessions for clients. Mm-hmm. But I had a client that was so self-loathing. I mean, all throughout the session. And by the way, she'd had 5 kids and no one would ever know it. And she's petite and long hair and gorgeous and tan. She's the one that, and this is normally how it is actually, but she's the one that everybody's like, oh, if only I could be like her. Oh, she's really got it together. In my experience, many, many times those are the people that are the most insecure. And in this case, I mean, she just was phenomenal. But every time I would pose her, she's like, oh, I know that's going to make my butt look so stupid. My butt is the worst. I just can't believe that. Oh, I don't really want to do this because it shows my stomach and I hate my stomach. And oh, by the way, and she kept at it and kept at it. And I am usually very, very adept at like, let's shift the perspective. Let's change the narrative. Let's change how we're talking to ourselves. But I mean, she was just adamant
Relentless.
and persistent and relentless on herself. And so finally I said, would you say that? I mean, she has daughters. Would you say that? The thing that you just said to yourself out loud, to yourself and to me, would you say that to your daughter? Obviously expecting the answer to be no. And she said, yeah, if my daughter looked like shit, I would tell her. Oof. And I was like aghast. I was so impacted by that. And just, I felt defeated. I felt so upset. And her images were obviously gorgeous. You know, her husband loved them, put them up in their closet. But, you know, what was she saying to herself about them? And then it was maybe 2 years later that she asked to shoot with me again. And I, queen of no boundaries, said to her, listen, I have never met anyone that was so hard on themselves, and it really affected me. And what I want to do with my work is so opposite, and it just wasn't happening with you. And that threw me for a loop. And it's very, very important to me that my clients walk away feeling better, not worse about themselves. And I just don't know, like, I don't want to continue to support that kind of energy.
Perfect.
And she said, I know what you're saying. I hear you. And I know how I behaved in that last session with you. And things are different now. And she promised me that she was not going to be negative towards herself. And I said, okay, let's try. And she was great. She came in, we had, you know, it was actually Bingle's theme session, and she just had a lot of fun. She took something from the closet because she literally was going to Miami on vacation the next week. Amazing. And she was like, I look incredible in this. Can I keep it for vacation? Yes, do it, you know?
Yeah.
And it was a very positive experience. But you know, the opposite of that, it's just, we struggle so much and we think we're the only one. And that's just not the truth.
No, it's not the truth. And like, I want to highlight that woman's growth. That a girl, way to sit in life for a minute until you are ready to show up again and wait.
And then have 5 daughters. And how is that changing for them?
Yes.
You know? And there's things that we can't undo. There's things that do live in your head from when you were 8 and your mom said that to you. But, you know, can your mom take an opportunity to change how she's speaking to herself, change how, you know, the things that she has said to you, and help kind of heal that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's it, guys. That's the ticket, is that we have to heal ourselves, because it has a ripple effect on those who are coming behind us.
Right.
It has a ripple effect on those in the community, and how we view ourselves and our bodies has to be just as kind for how we view our worth, and our, you know, internal beauty is just as valuable as our external beauty. And just be kind to yourself, and it is unique, and you should be unique, and no one should look the same.
Yeah.
And every day is a gift. And no matter what your body looks like that day, if you've eaten a whole sleeve of Pringles, girl, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
No one could be more Betsy than Bets. Like, I love you so much. And it's like the little, the words that we make up, right? So we're just like bing banging around.
Literal.
Yeah. Love you to bits. Love you to bets. Like, it just, that's what, you're just so unique. And I love your energy, and I love your little, all the quirks are my favorite thing about you.
Same, girl, right back at you. And which is why I was like, I really value your authenticity and your perspective, and you're embracing every version of yourself, and how it is so vital to you in your life to highlight to women, just they could see what you see, and to empower. And that has such an impact on the next generation. So I cannot thank you enough for today's conversation. I know it was wildly outside of your comfort zone, but you fucking crushed it.
Everyone comes to me completely terrified. So I love to put myself in this position every once in a while, because I'm like,
that's awesome.
What? You're just taking your clothes off and pushing your beauty towards the lens. Like, this is great.
Right?
It's going to be so fun. It's so everyday to me. But then, you know, things that do make me nervous, I'm like, okay, so this is how my client feels. So I can have a little bit more empathy. You know, empathy.
Yeah, right. Just when you think you didn't have enough. Oh my God. Okay, you guys, I could talk to Bridget for a bajillion hours. And I think if you are out there and you are having body positivity challenges, or if your internal dialogue is just the pits, a boudoir session would do you good.
Yeah.
Some BD.
I have so many women that say, like, as soon as I get the confidence, I'm going to do this. Like, well, the confidence fairy is not going to show up.
No.
It's not a prerequisite at all for boudoir, but it is an unavoidable side effect. And every woman walks in, you know, I've had women walk in and literally like break out in hives or just panic attacks. And then I'm not kidding you, like 99.8% of women walk out the door feeling like Beyonce on cloud nine. They've never felt this way about themselves. And that is so addictive for me. I just love it. I love having women fall in love with themselves.
And what a gift to be able to do that every day.
And then just the impact that it makes.
Yes.
From there.
Literally, it is, like you said, it's the husband being like, you have changed our lives. And I mean, this is amazing. So girls, if you need a confidence boost, one, start with yourself. Look in the mirror and name some things that are beautiful and unique about you, and think about all day long. Choose your thought again. Choose a kinder one. Choose a real one. Choose one that has nothing to do with society and everything that that aligns with the value that you know you have as a person, and celebrate your unique beauty.
Ask your best friend what they really admire about you, because she's the one, your very best friend is the one that's not going to like fluff you, right?
Nope.
But she probably really appreciates, admires things about you that she has.
You should literally ask. Actually, I did when I was having a really hard time finding the direction that I wanted to take this new brand. And I was just sitting in self-doubt and really coming out of the storm of what my life was. I asked a few people that were very close to me, like, what is my value? What value do I add to your life? And their feedback was instrumental. And just at a time where I wasn't feeling like my best self. And it really, I'm glad I was brave enough to ask that. And what a weird question to ask, but I'm so glad I did, because I needed to hear it at that time. And I was vulnerable enough to be like, I'm having a hard time seeing my own value in this moment in my life. Can you help me remember? And now I see it and I get it. And it's like, it's all good. So, and girls, if you need to go get yourself a sexy session, I highly recommend it. I haven't done it, but maybe I should.
You're definitely going to.
Yeah, listen, I guess I am.
This is your happy place. We can do it right here. I have so many couch poses you don't even know. I have so many pieces that would look incredible on your unique shape.
Watch out.
Show you things that you have never seen about yourself.
Yeah. And like, what a freaking gift, whether it be your body or your soul, all of it. I'm sure it all comes out in these sessions.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if people want to join your community and be inspired, or if they want to reach out to you and shoot, where do we find you?
The easiest is just if you link up on Instagram. It's at I Want BD Photography, Bridget Davis, BD. Actually, everyone in my house is BD. It's a whole thing.
Right. It's a whole thing.
And anyway, I Want BD Photography on Instagram. There's a link underneath my photo there. You can connect directly to the Facebook group.
Perfect.
And then just a little forewarning. I'm very, like I said, no boundaries, TMI.
There's no reason to warn. There's no reason to warn.
There's a lot of spicy content. I am trying to find my place in the aerial world. So, you know, I'm not a dancer and I would like to be sometime in the future. So you're seeing the journey along finding myself, you know, maybe I'm going to be an aerialist. Maybe I'll do silks, hoop. Maybe I'll continue in burlesque. So you see a lot of my personal life, my family, my people are beautiful. My friends, I'm so into uplifting other, you know, women that are doing cool shit.
Yeah.
And I really want to like propel them. So all the people that follow me, I want you to follow all my people. I love my people. And so there's a lot to see and process. But if you follow my Instagram, you can get connected on all the things. And then also, and I'll say this for anyone that you follow on Instagram, like some people might have a large following, but I never hesitate to just like hit their DMs and just say like, hey, I love what you're doing. Oh my gosh, I love this or that. You really are adding value to my feed. And everyone that has an Instagram, it's like real human behind that.
Yep.
And it's someone else that like, you know, made their coffee and spilled their coffee this morning. And so you think that if someone has 100,000 followers, it's like they're a different class than you, or just, you know,
level.
They're not reachable, but actually just hit their DMs. For me, at least personally, like I want to have a relationship with every freaking person in the world. So
yeah,
like,
you do.
Send me a DM and let's be besties. That's basically it.
And for someone who has you've taken my pictures with the highest of moments where I'm like, oh my God, I just created a human, to the most chaotic moments where I'm like, oh my God, I have 4 tiny humans and I can't get them all in one frame, to when I have been coming out of some of my lowest moments, but really on the ascend back to the surface. And those photos, all of them, represent such a beautiful, important time in my life. And the authenticity in the way that you capture photos is truly your gift among many gifts that you have. So
thanks. That's my brand is pause button for your life. So sometimes you feel like, oh, this isn't necessarily a chapter that I think I want to relive, but like your kids' connection with you while you're feeling not your best. And then you can look back like, I was showing up for them even when I felt like I was just this shell of myself. Like I was still showing them, you know. I think really we just go through life at this, at least personally speaking for me and you, 240 miles an hour. And to sometimes have someone to be able to freeze frame that chapter. And so later you can look, you know, it's a hectic day, but you look on the wall and it's like, oh, I had that giggle with my daughter.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, this is my why, even if she's driving me crazy today because she can't find any shoes that she likes or whatever it is, you know, like, but actually she's, you know, the duplicate version of myself in the best ways. She's the improved version of me. And I do love her so much, you know? Yeah. So I just really want to capture connection and relationship and intimate things.
And I think, okay, this is the thing that I want to end on too, is that we have such responsibility as humans and as women to make the world a better place for the next generation. And one of the ways that we are very responsible for doing so, where I worry that our generation is falling short, is in body positivity and body confidence. And yes, we're all body positive, which is amazing, and we celebrate others, but how are we celebrating ourselves?
Right.
And I think that we owe that to the next generation, to our girls, to our boys, to everyone behind us, the 20-year-old who can't take the boudoir photo shoot because she doesn't feel good. If we can't feel good about ourselves, we're projecting that on the rest of the world. So let's all take that responsibility. We all deserve to feel good in our own bodies. It doesn't have to be all day, every day, because we're all humans, but let's do the best we can because we all deserve to feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bridget, I love you. Thank you so much for your time. Oh, you guys. Okay. So if you want to shoot your honeymoon buddy,
or discover that you actually have a honeymoon buddy, even though you didn't think you did.
Yes.
I absolutely will help you find it.
Yes.
For sure.
So find Bridget. I will tag her on all the platforms. I will put her in the show notes. It's I Want BD Photography. If you want to be inspired to live your wild, free, sparkly self, she's also a great follow. And if you just want to be in the warm, snuggly hug of her vibrant life, literally in her womb, because she will put you right there, please follow along. Bridget, I'm proud of you. I know today was out of your comfort zone. You crushed it. I think this conversation is critically important for women to have. And I'm so glad that you were brave enough to have it with me today.
Thank you for letting me have a bigger platform to just really help women fall in love with themselves.
Yes, girls, be kind to ourselves, right? That's the deal. All right, you guys, thank you for listening. This has been another, my cup is full and then some. This has filled me right to the brim. Thank you everyone for following. If you have women in your life that you know are doubting themselves, doubting how they feel, doubting how they show up, if you are so inclined, share this episode or share some of the clips that come out of this, because it is our job and our responsibility to be kind to ourselves and kind to others. So that's all I got. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Well, that's the end of this episode, but promise me, you won't stop here with whatever it is you're feeling or dreaming about. I hope you leave today feeling empowered to live life just as you see fit. If this podcast was helpful to you, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. I genuinely just want to help women live the life they dream about. So if this type of content tracks with you, subscribe to this podcast or visit our website, writeyourownstory.co, to download digital courses or to grab a journal and a mug to just dream in and dream with. It's your life, lady. Do you. And just remember, I'm rooting for you and you've totally got this.